Read it off a teleprompter line, same damn story every single time. Polished lies in a tailored suit. Call it truth, but it don't compute. They sell you fear with a sleight of hand, tell you what to think, what to understand. Every word's been pre-approved, a puppet dance with a hidden noose. They say don't look past what we show. Well, that's exactly where we go, where the devil's advocates were kicking the door. Drag the buried truth up off the floor. You can spin your lies, we ain't buying that. We see straight through it, yeah, we call it flat. They push that line with the paid actors. We tear it down, don't care who it shatters. If the system cracks, we expose the fractures. We're the devil's advocates, calling out those bastards. They push one line till it sounds like fact. Shut down anyone pushing back. If it don't fit, it gets buried deep, out of sight where the quiet won't sleep. Different faces, same damn script, same old narrative, tight-lipped grip. You ask one question, they call you insane. Funny how truth makes them shift the blame. They say don't dig too far below. Well, that's exactly where we go, where the devil's advocates, we kick in the door. Drag the buried truth up off the floor. You can spin your lies, we ain't buying that. We see straight through it, yeah, we call it flat. They push that line with the paid actors. We tear it down, don't care who it shatters. If the system cracks, we expose the fractures. We're the devil's advocates, calling out those bastards.
Could I get a little help here, Captain?
Like the bad guys, truth cuts deep when it cuts ties. Twist the words, try to spin the facts. We don't scare, we don't backtrack. We ain't clean, we ain't polite. We drag dark into the light. If it burns, what you protect? That's the cost of respect. We're the devil's advocates, we kick in the door. Say it loud, yeah, we settle the score. You can drown us out, you can try your tactics. We're still right here, devil's advocates. Truth don't bend just cause you say. We don't break at the end of the day. If the system cracks, we expose the fractures. We're the devil's advocates, calling out those bastards.
All right, everybody, welcome to A Crimes After Dark. That fucking video rocked. That was amazing shit. I'm still stunned. I really am. Like, I think Robin spent about a 40-hour work week easy on making that video. Robin has all the credit for the music, for the videos, for the sound mixing. Insane shit. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's get the panel assembled very, very quickly. We have so much to talk about with Brent Turvey's interview having just been aired and finished just about, I don't know, less than 20 minutes ago, I think, on the Custody Queens. Holy shit, that interview. Everybody needs to see it, rewatch it, take notes. That was a fucking bomb drop right there. All right, let's get the panel assembled really quickly. And how you guys doing this evening?
Fired up.
That was epic.
Wow.
That was epic.
Wow.
Epic intro video, man.
Great.
Wasn't
Great.
that badass?
I mean, amazing, Robin. Amazing.
That was
Thank you.
badass.
Absolutely
that was-
amazing. It reminds me of Wild Wild West. Remember Wild Wild
It's-
West?
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes,
it's called
yeah,
steampunk.
That was-
It's called steampunk.
Yeah, that was
Yep.
badass. Truly and honestly, I've never looked at
Dragons,
myself as
everything.
everything was in that. I
That was
kind of
dope.
I
like.
know.
Yeah.
Did you
watched
notice I
myself
gave
in
you
that video and I
drumsticks,
wanna-
Dago?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes,
How
I was
was
gonna
your
say
weapon?
that. That's badass.
There you go. Yeah. You'll have to. I'm sure we're gonna show it many other times. You have to watch it a few times because there's some
Yeah.
hidden stuff in there. I don't know if you saw the fog lamps on.
Yes, I saw
the
that. That was
dragons,
hilarious.
Fog
Yes.
lamps. John Ray is in there. Ali,
Yeah,
like there's a lot of
Alabama
hidden
Vento,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Thank
some.
you,
there's some-
everyone. Thank you.
Nice.
Did you ever-
It was a lot of
how
fun
many
to put
hours?
together.
How many hours did that take you to make that, Robin?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even look at that because, like, doing this kind of stuff is like oxygen to me. Like
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
live for. So, yeah.
After
The
seeing
bill-
that, I can't wait to see what you got for me. That's all I can say.
It was
The
amazing.
bill is in the mail.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That just cost my company a few $1,000s, probably. Yeah.
I'm waiting to see if people are going to say, where's the
Oh,
movie
boy.
coming out?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you so
Well,
much,
there'll be
Robin, for
more
that.
adventures. So,
Yeah, that
Great.
is,
Yeah.
And there's more
We'll be
coming.
back.
There's more coming.
we have so much good music you haven't even heard yet. We've got songs that we're trying to put together with some kind of backdrop for you that's got great music. It's all
Yeah.
part of our identity. So that's kind of what we do. So let's get, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of turn it right over to one to do a monologue so we can
Okay.
get off. 'Cause we
I'll
have
get
so much
into
to
it
talk
quick.
about. Yeah.
Yes. I'll jump right into it. Is
Wow.
it good to be alive in the den on Monday night?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Juliana, Jackson, my lovely wife. Love you guys. And happy post Mother's Day to all of you out there for yesterday. All right. 4 young lives taken in the darkness. A quiet college town transformed overnight into one of the most scrutinized homicide scenes in modern American history. The murders of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin became more than a tragedy. They became a narrative repeated by media, by investigators, by experts on television, by internet sleuths desperate for certainty before the evidence had even settled. But what happens when the story comes before the science? What happens when investigators arrive at a crime scene already believing they know what happened? According to internationally recognized forensic criminologist Dr. Brent Turvey, that is precisely where investigations begin to fail. Turvey has spent decades studying one of the most controversial and misunderstood subjects in criminal investigation: crime scene staging. The deliberate manipulation, alteration, movement, presentation, or suppression of evidence to create a false narrative, redirect suspicion, conceal truth, or control the direction of an investigation itself. And according to Turvey, staging is not rare. In fact, he argues investigators are ethically obligated to consider staging in every single death investigation. Failure to do so is not merely incompetence, it is negligence. Tonight, on Devil's Advocates, we examine the Idaho 4 case through that lens, not through headlines, not through emotional narratives, not through blind faith in institutions, through forensic reconstruction, because beneath the official timeline, beneath the media frenzy, beneath the carefully managed public narrative, there are questions. Questions investigators may not want asked. Questions about contamination. Questions about delayed reporting. Questions about evidence collection. Questions about scene preservation. Questions about behavioral inconsistencies. Questions about investigative assumptions. Questions about what was documented and what may never have been documented at all. And at the center of those questions sits one single piece of evidence, the knife sheath. The sheath investigators claim connected Bryan Kohberger to the crime scene through DNA evidence, a sheath that would become the cornerstone of the prosecution's narrative. But Dr. Turvey has repeatedly emphasized something investigators and the public often overlook: the chain of custody, the documented, uninterrupted control of evidence from the moment it is discovered to the moment it enters a courtroom. Because in forensic science, evidence without a clean chain of custody is not certainty, it is vulnerability. Turvey warns that evidence is only as reliable as the integrity of the process surrounding it. Who found it? When was it found? Who handled it? Who photographed it? Who packaged it? Who logged it? Who transported it? Who had access to it before it was documented? And perhaps most importantly, what happened during the moments no one can fully account for? In the Idaho 4 case, critics and analysts continue to raise troubling questions surrounding the sheath itself. When exactly was it discovered? Why do descriptions surrounding its location appear inconsistent? How many personnel entered the scene before it was documented? Was the scene truly secured? Was every movement inside the residence properly recorded? And did the sheath follow the strict forensic protocols required for unimpeachable evidentiary integrity? Because if the chain of custody surrounding the single most important piece of evidence contains gaps, uncertainties, or procedural failures, then the implications become enormous. Dr. Turvey has long argued that once investigative bias takes hold, evidence stops speaking for itself. Assumptions take over. And when assumptions take over, crime scenes can be curated, narratives can become protected, contradictory evidence can become minimized, and the public can be led to believe a reconstruction that may not fully reflect reality. Turvey's research revealed that staged crime scenes often emerge when offenders need to redirect suspicion away from themselves or away from obvious connections to victims. But according to Turvey, staging does not always end with the offender. Staging can also occur through investigative response itself, through selective documentation, through failures in evidence collection, through contamination, through suppression of contradictory findings, through narrative shaping before reconstruction is complete. And that possibility terrifies institutions, because once you acknowledge the possibility of staging or compromised evidence or flawed chain of custody, you are forced to question everything: the timeline, the reconstruction, the handling of evidence, the investigative narrative, the assumptions, the conclusions. Tonight, we do exactly that. No emotion, no hero worship, no blind trust, no manufactured outrage. Only evidence, only reconstruction, only the hard truth. Because the most dangerous thing in any homicide investigation is not what investigators know, it is what they assume they know. And in the Idaho 4 case, the assumptions may be the biggest story of all. This is Devil's Advocates, and tonight we enter the crime scene. And with that, live from New York, it's Monday night.
All righty, everybody. So that was pretty crazy shit that we just all witnessed. I know that my panel was watching that. I don't know about JJ for sure. Did you get to watch it as well? But yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I saw most of it. I was at work and I missed like the beginning of it, but I watched the rest of it.
I want to say he immediately won me over when he would say things like this. That's just stuff for people to slow stroke too. If you want to jerk off on it, I'm like, this guy's my kind of guy. Like he just fucking tells me how he feels. let me tell you really quickly a few just quick takeaways. I wrote a million notes, and I'm sure you all have a million notes, and I'm going to give you guys plenty of space to talk, but I want to do my quick takeaways. Yeah, I've got a ton of notes. Here are Mike, and I know he didn't say this directly, so I know, and even Turvey would say, some of you are going to take what I said, and you're going to put your own spin on it. So I'm accused of doing that right now. Let me tell you the takeaways that I think I heard. Nothing places Bryan Kohberger at the house. In fact, everything points away from Bryan Kohberger as the person who did it.
Bingo.
The administrative investigation into the leak is done and sealed under gag order still, and yet there's a criminal investigation going on. Nothing will change in this case as long as Ann Taylor's still his attorney, but let's see what happens when we see who gets arrested.
That was big. That was big.
Yeah.
I was like,
yes,
oh
that was
God,
big.
Like, I'm just going to leave it at that. Like,
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that was big.
Right.
No. There were some bombs for sure dropped in there.
A lot of bombs. There was a lot of bombs.
Yeah.
I also took that, though, that he could have also been talking about Hitler.
Could have.
Very much. He could have been talking about anybody,
Because
right?
as long as Hitler's there, I don't know what will change or not.
Well, I don't think Hitler is a leak, though.
No, I don't think Hitler's the leak.
No.
And I didn't read that his problem was Hitler. I think his problem was Ann Taylor.
Yeah.
He hinted several times who's she working for.
Yeah.
Not working for a client. And so I think that's
if
I were to take a guess, that's where
I mean, the stuff that he said, he just flat out and said, he's like, he said it. Ann Taylor knew about the hair, and he flat out said it was not debris. It was 100% not debris. She knew about it. It was, and now we know, because we were all saying like, oh, they probably tested it for DNA, but they're not revealing it because they know it didn't go to BK. But he clearly said they did not test it. They only tested it for size, and
you
did not do.
Yeah. You have to wonder. This is the thing. Like he doesn't know the answer either. Did Bryan Kohberger know about the exculpatory evidence that was found a week before his plea deal? Did Ann Taylor tell him about the hair that was discovered by Turvey? There's no proof Ann Taylor ever told her client there. Did she allow her client to plead guilty to something not knowing that major bombs had just been discovered a week before trial?
I think that's the biggest question.
He said and I am like, I have to say, I mean, it's hard to believe that as a defense attorney that you would not, based on what he's saying, it was a good amount of hair. Why would you not want the hair tested? So it makes me think more and more that this is some kind of operation, like JJ has said,
something like that.
Yeah, something. And Ann Taylor's, not saying like in on it, but she kind of has no choice, I guess, kind of to go along with it.
He even said in the very beginning that the rest of the defense team was blown away about the plea deal, and that took me sideways for him. I'm like, wait a minute, they didn't even know.
She didn't convene her experts and her panel to tell them about the plea deal that was happening and allowed them to continue to make plans to appear in court. They were shifting their schedules to be there for the trial that she knew wasn't going to happen, and she didn't even tell anybody it wasn't going to happen. Didn't even give them the common courtesy to let them know there wasn't going to be a trial.
He clarified the chain of custody too.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
In my opinion, this can go one of three ways, folks. Truly and honestly, okay? Because I don't know where I'm at with this yet. But at one point, you can look at this as in, and this is just an opinion based on the things he said. Was she on board with this the whole time against Bryan with the prosecution? Was she possibly threatened to the point where she had no choice but to go this direction? Or did she do this on purpose to throw this to the point where he can file for ineffective assistance of counsel? That's the three ways that I look at this, period. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say I got so many things to say. So I like this comment here. He had me laughing at the chain of custody. He laughed his ass off on the question about the
and he explained it.
His ass off about it.
I loved how he explained it. Yeah, because we use barcodes here in NYPD, and it's exactly what he said. It's so we know, so you know where the evidence is.
What shelf it's on, what room.
Right.
That's not enough to keep the chain of custody. The chain of if the evidence is handled, it has to be signed for by that.
And he literally, and
it's
listen
that
to this.
simple.
Think about what he didn't say. I'm going to say what he didn't say. Chief Dallinger,
That was great.
when this came out, Chief Dallinger said, "Oh, you know that the evidence tag means nothing. We haven't used evidence tags for a long time. We use barcodes, and that's ridiculous. And it would have been just fine." And we didn't talk. They didn't. I didn't say I wasn't interviewing him. They didn't say Dallinger, but what he said was, any police officer who tells you that, you should probably look into all their investigations. You should probably look into everything that officer's been. If that was his attitude to tell you that wouldn't have made a difference, you should probably now look into everything he does. And I was that's fucking a good one.
He basically called them idiots without saying it. He did truly, like they're inept. I mean, come on.
I thought that I paid attention, to what he didn't say.
Yes.
And so, Dr. Turvey, you're right. I am going to interpret the things that you said my own way. And it seemed like he was indicting Ann Taylor pretty obviously. I think we'd all agree with that.
Yes.
That, that seemed glaringly obvious without him saying the words. And then the chain of custody stuff and the knife sheet stuff. He basically said there was no DNA that tied Bryan Kohberger to that knife sheet.
Nothing.
And everything pointed away from him.
Nothing.
And go if you want to finish your thought. Don't leave this pinned. I want this pinned comment. I want to talk about this pinned comment.
The last thing I'll say is just that, what he was saying and all the things that I took from it. The big takeaway for me was corruption.
Oh,
now,
definitely.
whether that was manufactured corruption, because like I believe there was an operation involved. So there were people that had to play a role in that.
Yeah.
That's not for him to say. He's not in the position to say that. He was stating based on the evidence and his report. So he's not going to come out and say it was corruption. There was a higher operation going on. That's right. He's never going to say that.
But but that's what's great about him. That what's great is he said he doesn't. What I loved is when he actually said, "I don't care about this guy. I don't care about that guy. I care about the facts tell me and what it says." That was great.
Yeah, and to who just said this? Oh, Amanda just said. Lots of rabbit holes in this case.
That's what he said. Yeah. Turvey's own words. There's lots of rabbit holes.
Yeah. So Amanda just reminded me of that. It's like, I'm like, okay, so he's telling us things without telling us things.
Right.
Oh God, we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. He dropped several bombs of things he knows about that he can't say.
Oh my God.
Yes, I know that, and I can't say it. But I got to get this comment because we pin comments and then we never get around to it. So this comment from Tasha Lee is one of the ones that scares me the most. He literally said something to this effect. This case, nothing's going to happen for Bryan Kohberger. Nothing, as long as Ann Taylor's in charge of the ship. And he even hinted, a lot of attorneys will fall on their own sword and say, hey, look, I just didn't have time. I would file ineffective counsel if I was you. But she's not apparently going to do that. She's going to stick by her swords that she did everything right by her client. And unless she changes her mind or gets arrested or something else, then nothing's going to happen. Bryan Kohberger will spend the rest of his life in jail because she has decided that she's not going to fall on her sword and say, I did something wrong. Yeah, and that troubles me deeply.
I agree with you.
He's going to let him just rot in prison for the rest of his life without just saying, hey, look, maybe I wasn't prepared. Maybe I was over my head. Maybe this should be looked at. I want to say ineffective counsel.
But
or
I think he's pretty confident that something's gonna
I think he knows something's coming as well.
Right, but also again, it could. I'm just reserving my own opinion and trying to stick to it. That it's also all these things, all the fuckery and the ineffectiveness and what appears to be incompetence could be all by design, because there's a bigger thing. I still believe there's a bigger thing involved. And I think that when a big operation is involved, everybody has to play a role, or you can't have an operation. You can't have a multi, higher level operation going on that involves a local area unless there are players on the different levels. And so, to me, again, everybody is biased about what they believe the real situation is. But for me, that this stuff just confirms it even more for me.
Yeah.
Why would an
It does,
attorney
yeah.
avoid so much pertinent information and evidence that would essentially exonerate their client? To me, the only reason
Right.
is because it was all constructed that way.
By
I want to
design,
comment.
yeah.
I want to comment on typically Unique's point. Yeah, he made a point. So the hair, if I understood the hair that everybody's, and oh, by the way, we need to talk about Christopher Whitcomb and the hair. We need to talk about that. But
Yep.
anyways, the hair. He said the hair was sent to the FBI for macro testing. Meaning just this hair color type. That's it. Not micro testing on the DNA. And he doesn't know where the hair is to this day. As far as it sounds like, as far as he can guess, it's still in the possession of the FBI. But the judge can order that evidence be turned back over for further testing. Will Hippler do anything? Right. Is he just going to sit on that? Like everybody's going to know that we want to know who the hair it is, and he's just going to sit on it?
Even if Anne files something, Hippler has to approve it.
Right.
So without Hippler being able to stand up and do the damn right thing here, a lot of shit.
Will anybody do the fucking right thing in Idaho? He didn't.
Right.
Idaho
said they don't.
Fiefdom. It's its own little fiefdom. That's outside of the jurisdiction of the United States. They do their own shit. They don't give a fuck.
That's what he said. Right. Idaho does their own thing. Period.
It's
and I liked how he broke. I like how he broke down the sheath too. He was able to explain a little bit more about
you heard
how
what
he feels it was placed.
Yes, definitely. And you heard what he said about the Innocence Project too. And also, I like the fact that he said any appellate attorney that approaches him, he's willing to help them. And I'm like, thank you, God. If somebody gets their hands on this, that's 100% what they need.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of things he said that were enormous. Like I said, I've got notes. I don't know where to start. We're just kind of touching the highlights right now. I want to talk briefly about Christopher Whitcomb, because this is something that didn't sit right with me in the Christopher Whitcomb interview. And I'm not trying to shit on Christopher Whitcomb. I think his book was a great start to this conversation. We wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Christopher Whitcomb's book in a lot of ways, in my opinion.
Agreed.
But one of the things that bothered me is when I first look 5 pages in or less than 5 pages in, they're talking, maybe even less. They're talking about the clump of hair in Ethan's hand. And I thought to myself, holy fucking shit. Like, that's how this is going to start. And so I started my interview with that. And he's like, well, if you want to start with the hair, it's like the least interesting thing. No, it's like the most interesting thing. And I thought it was weird because later I asked Christopher Whitcomb, what would you say is the most interesting? He said the ping pong table. What was Turvey's response? The ping pong table is boring. It's boring.
Yeah.
I was how different are their opinions?
He didn't even care about it.
And his most interesting thing was the hair, was what Turvey's thing was the hair. And they're completely opposite with the same point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pieces of April, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, there's really no other way, in my opinion, to interpret the whole big picture of what he's saying other than he's pointing to corruption, but he's not saying it explicitly.
Right. But I mean, the hair is monstrous. The hair was monstrous. I was also super surprised, by the way. I was super surprised that Turvey didn't seem to have personally been involved with the discussion of the hair found in Maddie and Kaylee's bed. When they asked him about it, he kind of was like, well, I don't know about that, was his first answer. And then he kind of backpedaled a little bit and says, well, I can't speak to that. It wasn't like maybe he did know about it. Because I mean, obviously he knows about it. He's friends with Christopher Whitcomb. He read Whitcomb's book, I'm sure. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But the point being is he almost sounded a little bit like, oh, there was hair in their bed, but he's like, I can't speak to that. That wasn't what he discovered, I guess. So that was interesting.
Also, he said the same thing or actually a little bit more, when they brought up Kaylee's phone, whether that was unlocked. He said, I don't want to talk about that. And I'm like,
right.
Wow. Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah. Right. There's a lot of times he said,
yes,
I don't want to talk. Did you catch this hint? Again, this is not what he said, but did you catch when he was talking about how you can't trust Dylan Mortensen or Bethany Funk?
Yeah.
And he hinted that during that 8 hours, there may have been other people in the house besides those two.
Yes.
So they might have had a group of people that were part of the cleanup or whatever. We can't trust the people because there was 8 hours in which we don't know how many people were in there with them. And I thought that was huge.
I
Right.
said that. I've said
Right.
that a long time ago. Like, I still think, you guys, and I've said this many times, that I believe that there was other people at that house up to the point where they decided it was time to call 911, and then those people disappeared. I swear to you, that's something I believe for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'd love to be able to figure out who those people were, truly and honestly, because I
Maybe
swear.
some of those rumors were
Yeah.
true that we all heard along the way about people being there
Well-
that early the next morning.
Well, yeah,
It seems
WSU.
like it.
WSU mom Kim 3 years ago came forward and said, Dago, there were people there. There was a ton of people there outside the house, inside the house, in and out of the house, early in the
Mhm.
morning, as early as 8:30 that morning, possibly even earlier. And then
Yeah.
when everybody finally decided, or they were told maybe to call 911, everybody split. So that's quite interesting.
So anyone
I believe
who has ever thought that these college students can't keep their mouths shut, obviously they could, and they can, and they are.
It could be out of fear too, Robin.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm saying
it's inconceivable
They
to
can
me.
do it.
Not only that, but Dylan and Bethany and others were allowed to tramps back through the fucking crime scene before they processed the crime scene.
It's
They let those
insane.
kids back
Yeah.
in. That's insane.
It's in the book.
It's insane.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought
this-
it was interesting how he went into a little bit of detail, how he doesn't, I guess we don't know, but he alluded to the fact a lot of times with crime scene staging that the person or people involved want someone else to discover the body. We've talked about that. I thought that
love
was,
that. I
I
say
was
it all the
like,
time.
oh my God.
Yeah.
I said they left the front door open. I alleged that they had left the front door open
Yeah.
on purpose, thinking that it was a party house and somebody else was going to discover it because they didn't want to be the one. And after 8
Right.
hours, finally someone said, "Oh my God, you got to call because nobody's calling this shit in." But they were wanting anybody else to discover the crime scene. And I've said
Yeah.
that over and over again. They wanted somebody to discover the crime scene.
Yes, you have.
That way,
Yeah.
they didn't have to give an alibi, an excuse, a reason for not
Right.
calling 911, any of that stuff. They didn't have to be involved at all. So yeah, that's a very
Yeah.
good point. And you know, the
Right.
biggest part of
Right.
this, folks, is this man. We've needed this guy for 3 years. We've needed him. I'm grateful that he's here and what he's doing
Yep.
because we
Yeah.
truly needed him. But the biggest thing he's done, in my opinion, is he's justified everything we have done for the past 3 years, folks. Absolutely,
right.
in my opinion. So thank
And
you,
I,
guys.
and I want to reiterate something else that I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horse, not horn, that's not my point, but something I pointed out. Bill Thompson himself stated just before, when the plea deal was made, he was surprised. Bill Thompson admitted that he was surprised by the plea deal because all along, and I told people this is important, the wording. All along, Bryan Kohberger has maintained his factual innocence. And what did Turvey say? There's a difference between actual guilt and factual guilt, right? He's factually not guilty. He is guilty because he pled guilty. He is guilty because he pled guilty.
I'm glad
But
that he
he's
said that.
He
Factually
said,
innocent.
yeah, what he said,
Right.
yeah, what he said was there's a difference between legally guilty and
Yes.
factually innocent. That was
Bingo.
that was
Right.
the line that he said.
Yeah, he's legally guilty, but he's factually innocent.
I
So
also
factually
like,
innocent. Yeah, and you've talked about that all the time. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yep.
like that he also said that he doesn't believe anything. He refuses to believe anything. He said believing is accepting without proof, and he won't do that. And I love that too because that's very important here, I think.
Yeah.
Right. And he made a point, and this is common sense too. I mean, I know everyone wants to watch all these interviews, and if Dylan has another 5 interviews, I know we're all going to watch it, but this is like
Right.
common sense thing. If once someone lies once about something, they're discredited. Nothing they say you can take as truth. If you already know, we have proof that they lied. We already know that they lied.
I'm going to go through steps. I'm going to go through steps of the interview that I took down notes from the very beginning. He opened up. I can't remember if it was it Sam or Kristen? It was Kristen, I think. Kristen started out by asking him about Ann Taylor. That was the first question essentially she gave him. Ann Taylor comes out and rips you. And he says, "Never in my career have I ever seen an attorney attack her own expert witness like that. Never." And this guy's been at this for forever. And then he adds, "It makes you wonder who she's working for." I was like, holy shit, that's how this is going to start. I've never seen this, and it makes you wonder who she's working for. So crazy.
That's a big one. That is a big one.
Yep.
Well, I've been saying all along, she's part of the old boys network there.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
She went to school there. She's worked in that system for a while. So that's
is she? He
reality.
also brought up she used to work for the prosecutor's office. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. She did. Yeah.
I had no idea she worked for the prosecutor, and something else he said.
You're right.
I
Before
wrote
she moved,
down.
yeah, yeah.
And it does point to, and again, I'm not there yet with trying to throw her under the bus completely, but I absolutely have a million questions as to why certain things were done. I'll say that.
I will say I want to. I got
Well-
another comment I want to make, but let's read this comment. Glitch DNA
Yeah.
lab. Well,
Mhm.
police reports directly say points in either side on some of the wounds. Double-edged blade, which is not a K-bar, right?
And clarify
right.
that.
Right.
Multiple knives and a blunt force weapon, all public info. The DNA never linked Kohberger. Yes, all of these things we know,
Right.
and yet still here we are. And everybody asked, well, then
Yeah.
why is he in jail? And his response was because he pled guilty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the answer for.
Right.
I get asked all the time, why is he still in jail? Because he pled guilty, and that's the difficulty you have.
And
He pled. Now
yeah.
he did counter. Lots of people plead guilty to things they don't do, including he gave an example of a case where somebody pled guilty to a crime where the murder victim is still alive. They
Right.
said they killed him and they
Alive,
got
right,
arrested for
right.
it, and the person was still alive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good points. The whole
Yeah.
thing was like a mind blow. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, like it points to some kind of operation again. Oh, Kohberger ordered the knife and the knife sheath on Amazon. Like, come on. It's like
Yeah.
it's getting more and more. It's getting more and more obvious to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, what have I've been saying, and I know we've all touched on
I
it on
know.
one level or another. Whatever theory people have, in my opinion, has to account for the fuckery. So whatever your theory,
Yeah.
if it's drugs, if it's frats, we've all heard the big ones, right? Well, for each one of those, okay, then why the cover up? Why the fuckery? Right? So
Yes.
you have to be able to point to each
Right.
one of them and say, okay, that could be it. But then why the cover up? And we've all addressed the CI angle. That's a pretty damn good reason to facilitate a cover up and create this whole net web of fuckery around this case.
I want to point out Alicia's
Right.
comment here. Why didn't she take his advice and test the hair that when she had a chance? Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Turvey discovered the hair issue, and he was clear he made Ann Taylor aware of it, and she did not have it tested. And his statement was something to this effect. I didn't get it exactly word for word. That Ann Taylor, would leave the evidence untested that could be exculpatory is shocking. That's what Brent Turvey said. I told her about the hair, and she did not have it tested, and that she would not have something tested that's potentially exculpatory is shocking to him. And again, this guy's been around.
Yeah.
He's done this for a long time.
He also said that the hair was not even compared to other people in the house.
Right.
He said oh, it was just the
It wasn't compared to
macroscopic.
anything. Yeah.
No, it wasn't compared to anything.
Absolutely.
He made a big point. What did you guys think about the allocution thing? He made a big point.
I thought it was
that.
super. I thought it was super interesting. I mean, they try to make a statement. You can't force a witness or a person to allocute. So, and yet that is done all the time. You have them say something that only the killer can know. So they're arguing that they couldn't force them to allocute. It's just fuckery. It's just plain fuckery. And,
Well,
yeah, I think
the only thing that supports that they could have got away with is because you don't have to do it in Idaho, which again plays back into the whole Idaho does their own thing shit. But still,
right?
It was a bunch of bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. They could have made that part of the plea deal. Period. Okay. If you're going to give a plea deal, you could have very easily thrown that in there and said, you got to do this, this, and this, and we'll pull the death penalty. End of story. They didn't even attempt to do that, folks. They just did it what it was and gave it to him. That's it. So,
well, if he was working for the feds, like I think he was, not either directly or indirectly,
right?
They don't need to have him do that because to verify what he knows is congruent with the facts that they have, because in my opinion, it's all a sham. I still believe that because it's everything we're finding out as we go forward now it hasn't swayed me from thinking that, because there's too many
Well,
messed up things in this case that you would have to explain away solely with incompetence. And I just don't think that many things all the way up the ladder can be
No.
incompetence.
No.
Right.
no.
So extraterrestrial highway brings up the croc, and that was kind of a
Right.
surprise to me too. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Turvey admitted, there was a bracelet with blood found in the spare bedroom. There was
Yeah.
Dylan's jacket with blood on it in the bedroom. Neither have tested. There was also a croc with blood on it that was never tested. How the fuck do you not
And-
test these things? How do you not
and-
test them?
That crock was found in the bathroom where the washer and dryer are.
Washer and dryer,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Right.
Right,
Yep.
right near Lana's bed or Xana's bedroom. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, let's say
Yes.
you're cleaning up and you want to wash your bloody clothes up and clean everything up and throw your Crocs in the washing machine. Look, you could throw Crocs in a washing machine; they're waterproof. I
Right.
mean, what if somebody was cleaning up
They-
their fucking
they-
mess?
They could have pulled the catcher from the hair dryer, from the clothing dryer. They could have ripped the washer out of there and sent that for testing. I mean, did they? No.
They didn't do anything.
Unbelievable.
They did
No.
nothing at all.
And I thought, yeah, go ahead, Diego.
Oh no, I was just I lost my train. Go ahead. I lost what I was gonna say. It'll
I
come
was
back.
gonna say, I thought it was interesting too when obviously this is someone that has an enormous amount of experience. He said in his 30 years, he's never seen a deal like that happen at the last second. And the
A
other
lot of
thing
things
that-
in this case he said
Yeah.
were things he'd never seen in his
and
entire
he
career.
also getting an explanation, somewhat whatever it was that you said, the sequence of events that led to the plea. He said he had 3 different conversations with Ann Taylor, and they were different every time.
Every time the
Yeah,
story
he always
Which is
gave
changed.
a-
crazy.
Yeah, she gave a different reason for
insane.
what happened. Yeah.
I just wanted to comment. Somebody made a comment. You got to stop with this Fed thing. These kids died. So
Who
they
said
obviously
that?
haven't
Who-
paid
what
attention
was
to
their
what I've been
comment?
saying.
That's
The
different
Fed
than
thing that I'm
No.
saying
That's
has
different.
nothing to do with the WITSEC extraction
Yeah.
theory. They're completely different things. Not completely different.
Yeah.
He's talking
We're
about
not
a federal
saying that-
federal
yeah.
operation, folks.
Right.
Not
We're not
with
saying
sex
that the
shit.
kid,
Yeah.
we're
So
not
let
saying
me-
that the
let me-
kids didn't die.
Yeah, let me take a moment to
explain
address.
that.
Let me take a moment to address that. We have had panelists on in the past, such as ST's Crime Maze, who every single time he got on told us nobody died. Nobody died in the case, and people have accused me of being that's my position. I've told you over and over again. I have panelists, and my panelists and I do not always agree with things.
No.
So I did not ever agree that nobody died in this thing. It's never been my statement, and I'll say it one more time for the record. I never said nobody died in the house. I have had a panelist on before who we allowed them to talk about the idea that maybe nobody died because we allow alternate opinions here. JJ, as also to clarify, is not saying no one died in the house. He may have entertained the possibility, like I did when Estes was laying it out, say, you got some points here. That may have confused you. But JJ, when he's talking about a federal operation or it's an operation, is not talking about witness extraction. Almost 99% of the time, if he talks about that, he's not talking about nobody died. That's not what he's saying.
No.
So.
And the possibility that there is a federal operation that was going on with this is very high possibility, folks.
yeah.
If you think about the way everything has come down to the line with this, there's first and foremost, there's a national security label slapped right on top of this. That's the number one thing to think about. Okay, multiple agencies involved. It all points to the possibility of that being real. Okay, that's all he's saying. So it has nothing to do, like Lee said, with that at all.
And this
I have
go ahead, Lee.
I have been challenged, Dago, recently by we keep saying national security is attached to it, and they were wanting the receipts on it. I was trying to have a hard. I was like, I'm trying to remember where we.
It's in the documents.
receipts-
It's in the
that's what I was
documents.
trying to find out where.
documents.
Do you remember where it was at? Which
I don't. I'm sure somebody in my community could probably. One of them that probably know, but it's in the documents. If Lucy was in here, she could probably tell me right out of the gate which one it was.
Lucy, but Amanda, she's like, oh,
Tasha Lee says the FBI apparently was already there for drug trafficking.
They were.
covering up something.
right.
Yes,
Yes.
we know that there was a multi-jurisdictional drug
Yeah.
task force, and the FBI was already in the area before the murders. Yeah.
It amazes me how many people don't realize that it was like alphabet soup in that area at that time.
Yes. Yes.
The DEA,
All
the
the
FBI,
were
they were
there.
all
Yeah.
there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you look at some of the
Alphabet
interview, and some of the interviews that we have gotten late, somewhat recently, you hear the questioning, and a lot of it has to do with drugs, like asking different things. Oh, did you know that Ethan, did you see him use drugs? Do you know where he got it from? Yeah, all those kind of questions. They were touching on the drug stuff.
I'm still looking through my notes from the very beginning. Another thing I wanted to point out that I thought was interesting was this. He made it clear when this is back to talking about Ann Taylor blasting him in the public. He says, let's make something clear. Ann Taylor never said anything that I said was wrong. She admonished me for talking about it. She didn't admonish him for getting anything wrong. He didn't say anything wrong. And that's the part that really blows his mind. She's chastising me for talking. Not that I'm wrong about anything or lying about anything, but for talking about it. And that also raises questions in his mind. And what kind of defense attorney blasts somebody for talking about the truth?
Exactly.
The truth is a requirement.
And you know what's interesting? I'm waiting to see. I have an expectation to see if Ann responds to this at all. And if she does, oh boy.
He had a very good line. He said, all exculpatory evidence and full disclosure are supposed to be important. And that was right. He said that right in the beginning.
Yes. All exculpatory evidence has to be ran down. Yeah.
And then he made a nice little, I like this line that he said. He said, due diligence equals due process, which equals constitutionality. Very, very.
He also brought up very early in the interview tonight with Custody Queens. He brought up that Ann Taylor started this case with a conflict of interest. She had represented family members previously in drug cases, and he brought that up. And it's funny that he mentioned it because I have a semi-insider who's telling me both the prosecution and defense knows that this case was fucked from the beginning because Ann Taylor had a conflict of interest that really made it so that she couldn't, they already have grounds potentially for an ineffective counsel because she basically proceeded with the case she had a conflict of interest in from the get-go. Now, they've told us publicly that that's all been resolved and there was no conflict of interest. But Turvey mentioned it again tonight. She had a conflict of interest from the very beginning. So it makes me wonder, is it resolved or is it not resolved? Because they made it sound in the public, but they made a lot of things in the public sound like they were so, and we don't think that they are.
Good point. Okay, so Lucy is here, thank God. And she said that there is no national security thing on this. So where do we get this from? Because I swear to God, it was in one of the documents that we went through at one point.
Yes.
Was it Hitler?
Hitler said it.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to find the receipts because people keep challenging me saying it's not actually
that's
in
good.
the document. But.
That's good then. That's good.
But okay, Lee, I'm trying to refresh
Lucy.
my memory. Wasn't there something that came back on one of your FOIA requests that said they have the information that because of national security, they could not give it to you?
Yes and no. What it was is I FOIA'd from the FBI about the fog lamps and about the identification of the Elantra.
Yes.
Their letter to me said, we have the information you're requesting, but we will not give it to you because of one of the following 5 reasons. One of which is potential national security information. One of which was potentially a confidential informant. One was they listed like 5 different reasons, but they wouldn't specify under which reason. So that's not proof that it was a national security.
Right.
And
And
one of the
she just said yes. Investigators access data collected under the National Security Acts / executive orders. However, nothing on the record state. Okay, well then there we go. See, that's why we have to try to make sure that we have these things right sometimes. And I even make mistakes, obviously.
Well, there was a DOD.
I've been saying that.
There was a DOD thing where they specifically stated that the Department of Defense was something about information they were trying to get from the Department of Defense. And there were other things that I had seen a long time ago that suggested because there were national security implications.
Right.
I definitely remember seeing that, but it was a while ago. And then a lot of the things that came out after stating potential national security implications would restrict what information they could give out.
This, real quick, the Wadebird question. I don't know if it's a typo or if I don't know what a TOUHY
Yeah, it is.
letter
It is.
It's a typo. Okay.
It's a TOUHY.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the
They
TUI
spelled
letter.
it. They spelled
TUI.
it wrong.
Does a
It's a TUI
TOUHY letter
letter.
force the FBI to answer or turn over documents? I'm not
Actually,
what does a TOUHY letter
I
do?
think it does the opposite. I think it helps protect them.
I'm not familiar with a TOUHY
Well,
letter.
So
unfortunately.
a TUI letter.
It's a formal
go ahead, Rob.
request.
Yeah.
It's a formal request to get the testimony from a federal employee, like FBI agents, their records or investigative materials or expert testimony to be used in criminal cases and civil lawsuits and stuff like that. They don't have to just hand that over like to the public. Like that, they don't have to give that.
No, and the
So,
main part of
good
that
question.
is that it allows agencies to control the release of information and protect employees from becoming entangled in private lawsuits. That's
Right.
what that's all about.
By the way, this is a little bit nuanced. I want to see if you guys caught this. Turvey made a comment that I interpreted to say he almost made it sound like Ann Taylor was trying to bait him into violating attorney-client privilege by telling him that he was okay to go ahead and talk to the press, go ahead and say something. No, and he was hinting she knows damn well for me to do that would be violating attorney-client privilege, and she was going to throw him under the fucking bus if he did.
She was
yeah.
she
What
was
does that say?
like she was setting him up or something. Yes.
Yes, that's what it sounded like.
Trying to discredit him. Yeah.
Right. And he said, I think if Ann Taylor wants an expert witness in the future, they're probably going to tell her no, because look at the way she deals with her expert witnesses. She shits all over them. She tries to entice them into committing some kind of perjury or a violation and throw it. Like, is that what happened? Like,
he also said that she kept trying to get him to talk to Bryan personally. And he was like, I don't want to.
I'm not fucking doing that. No.
Yeah. I think Turvey, I think they meant, well, if this is some kind of operation or whatever it is that's going on, they messed up by hiring Turvey because he's too smart. He's too smart for them.
No, he's the real deal.
He's too smart.
Extraterrestrial Highway made a comment about DHS being involved.
Yes.
As far as the national security thing.
They're the umbrella company of everybody else, right?
But
anytime you have like multiple agencies involved in a case, and if you've got DHS interviewing a surviving witness, I'm pretty sure that it was stated that there were national security implications, so certain information couldn't be released, but it was a going pretty far back.
Well,
let me clarify my position.
Quick thing, just one quick thing to add to you, Jay. I don't know if she said it was national security, but I know one of the last interviews that we had with Dylan, she referred. We've never seen the interview. She said she was interviewed by Homeland Security. So
right,
I mean,
but see, I want to stop there because people are misunderstanding. So when I'm not saying it is or isn't true. But when I did research into why a witness was interviewed by Homeland Security, it was the document I read, and the answer I read was it's not uncommon for other agencies to assist with an investigation if police officers or whatever aren't involved. So if a witness is out of the Moscow area and Moscow Police Department aren't there, but they happen to be in a town that has Homeland Security, they can ask for an assist, and somebody from Homeland Security can go interview them. That Homeland Security interviews somebody is not proof that Homeland Security is involved, because they actually do assist other agencies when asked because of logistics. So it doesn't necessarily mean Homeland Security was involved because it was a Homeland Security issue. So I don't know if it is or isn't true, but I'm saying it apparently is not uncommon for Homeland Security to assist law enforcement, especially when your person that they want to have interviewed is out of this city and it isn't easy to get to. But I don't know if it's true.
My way of thinking, the only person who should have the only expert who should be going to see Bryan really is the psychologist and psychiatrist, that kind of thing.
Right.
Otherwise, that could have jeopardized a lot of stuff for him to have gone to see Bryan.
Yeah.
But what it seems like and what you said, I would almost think that Bryan does not know about a lot
I don't
of
think
things.
I don't
I'm
know. I don't
starting
know
to
that
wonder
Bryan
that
knows.
too.
I don't think Bryan knows
Yeah.
the amount of
But
exculpatory
at the
evidence
same
that's out there.
time,
So
but
let,
at the same time, it doesn't if it's an operation and he's whatever, an
if
asset or working, it wouldn't matter.
if that's the
Right.
case,
Right.
if that's the case, and
If that's the case.
if he
Yeah.
doesn't know, then she absolutely. Well, going backwards to what he said with this criminal investigation into the leak thing, okay? I'm sure they're going to find other things out within that as they're going through that to
Yeah.
investigate it. And then he said it depends on who gets arrested. I think that was a big statement, and that could point to the fact that it almost sounded to me like he was saying that she may have been trying to throw the case, okay? And if that's the case, holy shit, that would throw out the conviction and everything else, in my opinion. So, I think
Yeah.
that's what we're waiting on at this point.
Let me answer these questions. And I realize some of you are going to think that I'm turning on my own shit. Every time I do this, when I try to play fair with the facts, I get accused of, "Oh, I see now you're turning on."
Well,
no. But let me
well,
clarify
the name
facts.
the name of our show is Devil's Advocate. So
Right. So let me clarify this. Many people believe that the federal marshals are the guys in cowboy hats. And this is circulated. It's one of my biggest bitches. It's like hearing a noise and saying it's a gun rack and then forever calling it the gun rack guy. Same thing happened with the cowboy hat guys. The cowboy hat came up. Somebody said that's federal marshals. And then to this day, everybody says the federal marshals were there. How do you fucking explain that? All I can say is I don't know if they're marshals or not. When we looked up a sheriff's badge, for the local sheriffs, it's identical to what it looks like they were wearing. They could have been marshals. They could have been sheriff's department. I don't know who they are. I agree. I would love to know who the fuck the cowboys were that came into the house, did a little looking around and then left, because their actions are very suspicious, whether it was sheriff or marshals. But the reason why you don't hear me saying all the time the marshals were there anymore, because I don't know that it was the marshals. And in fact, I've asked people who are in the know who say the marshals are never there. The marshals were not involved. So just because you see an image of what looks like a federal marshal's badge, when you know that there are badges that look like that from the sheriff's department, you can't jump to the conclusion and say, we now know federal marshals there. I need more receipts. So I don't know who those guys are, who the cowboys are. But
one thing we do know O'Neill, who's FBI agent, he did interview. We have the documents. And he did interview people, and we don't have access to the interviews. And O'Neill has a history of running drug task force and being a handler for different CIs. We know that. We have that evidence. So why would O'Neill be interviewing people in just, a random homicide? So there's something there. There's a reason why he's involved, without question.
Devil's Advocates, did you ever, this is from Hanky Panky Mom. Hanky Panky Mom. Bravo. Did you ever get documents from FOIA requests to ISP/MPD about funding, schedules, etc. for undercover patrols? No. So that's a great one. Once again, I'll beat a dead horse. Technically, it's not a FOIA request if I'm asking a local police department. That's just a public records request. However, I have public records request over a month ago for the AVL data for evidence and admission that they have a master services agreement with the University of Idaho. They have not responded to it. It's been over a month. I submitted a second letter saying it's been over a month. You're supposed to reply in 10 days. I believe you're violating Idaho state law. But you know what? If you listen to Turvy today, Idaho does whatever the fuck they want. They're their own little fiefdom and they don't obey laws that other people do. So who knows if they're just flat out ignoring that one. It's a huge question that they're just ignoring. And I've already sent 2 letters. So, yep. Whitney 03. Were there ever any canine dogs that came in? Maybe a dumb question, but I'm curious. Didn't see on body cam, I guess. I think there was an officer that was a canine officer was there, and I think his dog was left in the car. I don't know if the dog ever came into the house. Do you remember if the dog came into the house?
I don't remember seeing.
No, I don't believe it did.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe that they ever did. And somebody, it was an interview that they said that why would you bring the dog in if you didn't really want the dog to find anything regarding the drugs? There was an interview. Damn it. Somebody said that recently in an interview about Ragnar. Yeah, Ragnar. Thank you, Bunny Murphy. Said that you wouldn't want to bring if you don't want to know if there was drugs going you know, in the house. I would bring the dog.
Yeah. He did say one
You don't
thing.
ask questions you don't want the answers for.
He did say one thing. I wish they asked kind of a further up, a follow-up question. They didn't really, but they didn't get to it. But I know there's a million questions. He's talking about Xana in the kitchen with the DoorDash and saying that I guess she got alerted. And he's like, well, she had part of the DoorDash in the kitchen, and then the food was in the bedroom. So I wish he would have explained that a little more, because to me, if she's in the kitchen with the DoorDash, like you picture, like you're sitting there with a burger or whatever, a piece of chicken, Taco Bell, whatever the hell it is, and you hear a noise upstairs, you're common, like it could happen. Yes. Most people, I would think, you would go running upstairs. You're not going to go running upstairs holding the burger in your hand and then come running back down and then run into the bedroom holding the burger. That doesn't really make sense to me with the food.
I will criticize the interview with Turvey on one part, and that was that. And it's again, Turvey would probably tell me to pack and shit. The custody queens asked him about the screams that were heard earlier in the evening, and he really was pretty blunt and rude about it. Like, that's just stuff for people to masturbate over. It doesn't fucking mean anything, and it's taking away from what's important. Then he established the official timeline. Xana was on her phone, he said, and we've said all over and over again, the phone activity is not proof of life. Xana was on her phone. She had ordered food, and she was eating the food. There's food in the kitchen, and there's food in her bedroom. Therefore, really locking down that the murder happened right at the 4 o'clock time frame, and dismissed any discussion about the time frame being another thing as just mental masturbation by people who want to have shit to talk about. So that's the only part of his entire interview where I was a little bit kind of bothered by the way he just completely like he's like, it's irrelevant what time it happened. No, it's totally relevant.
Absolutely. That's why I would have, you can do it in a nice way. I would have liked to have challenged him a little bit with there. I would have brought up, like, what about Gabby Petito, right? The Gabby, the proof of life, what you're talking about there.
I think he does that because it's not his realm of what, you know what I mean? And I think he just kind of avoids that other stuff, is why I think he was doing that.
I agree, Dago. Like,
I agree with you.
One of his comment could be taken as if trying to shift it away from where it could have happened. But like you said, he's not here to give opinions. Right. He's not here to give an opinion about whether it happened at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. What he's there to give you is an analysis of whether it was done by one person or two people and how long it took, not when it happened. So I think that was kind of his point of saying it. Like, I don't give a shit when it happened. That's how I took it too.
Yeah. Right. 100%.
Yeah, but the timeline is a critical element.
It's important.
It's evident. It would be characterized as forensic evidence because how long, what time frame did this happen at? Okay, how long did it actually take? Does it fit with the other evidence and so on?
Right. And of course, and then what goes along with that too. Exactly. Of course it's critical, because if something came out tomorrow and we can absolutely prove without a doubt that the murders started at 2:30 or 2:20, whenever that scream was, right? If we could prove that
Kohberger couldn't have been there,
and then exactly, and we have absolute proof that Kohberger was whatever in his bedroom, whatever the hell he's doing or wherever he is, well, then he couldn't possibly be there. So absolutely,
and that's why any attitude like it doesn't matter when it happened is bothersome. Because I'll overstate it. They've admitted Kohberger was at his own apartment earlier in the night. If the murders were happening while he was at his own apartment, he could not have done it, and he walks. That's it. He just walks. If they prove that it happened when he was at home, then he can't be the killer, and you're out. That's it. It's done.
Right.
And to Cat's Mojo's point about the lawsuit, because that's come up several times in talking about the interview, because he brought that up.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think it's going to go to that lawsuit's going to make it to trial. I think it's going to get settled.
You're right. Yeah.
They always get settled. 97% of the time they settle.
Yep.
So I don't think this big digging of all this different information and evidence is going to happen. In that, it would be great, right? Because they would be forced to dig into everything, but I just don't see it happening.
So here, let's. I'm still going through my notes from the beginning. I told you
so
we talk
much
for hours about
I
this.
know.
He clarified that he was brought on to this case because only for one thing. He was brought on because early in the investigation, Ann Taylor believed that the knife sheath was planted. He was actually hired. Turvey was actually hired to analyze the knife sheath specifically and the idea that it could have been planted. His role was then later expanded to the full crime scene analysis. But he was brought on because early on, Ann Taylor believed the knife sheath was planted. And Dr. Turvey was very, very clear that knife sheath was planted. The knife sheath was planted after the murders and after the blood dries, and he has no question whatsoever. He's like, I've written 30 books.
Right.
I've been at this for 30 years. That knife sheath was planted. It was left. It wasn't left by mistake. He said that. He's like, the killer didn't leave it by mistake. It was placed there and planted evidence. So he agrees, and that was the conclusion he gave to Ann Taylor.
And then he even gave, which we know now. And then he further stated it was even observed first on the floor. They couldn't even get that correct.
I don't think that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I was on the comment that's on the screen because I don't think that was the most important thing to be talked about. That's probably why.
Yeah. So let me clarify that question, because the questions ask, why was Turvey never asked about what information he gave to Whitcomb or anything that Whitcomb said, whatever. Look, Whitcomb's sources, he's not going to reveal his sources.
Yeah.
And everything Brent Turvey has admitted to in public, he said, is out there in the public. I haven't violated any confidentiality agreement whatsoever. So I guess where I'm going with that is read between the lines of what I'm saying. Turvey's not going to admit to anything that isn't already out there in public knowledge. So that's why he's not going to get asked about it, and he's not going to admit to it if he did ask about it.
And Whitcomb said, he's got more than one source. He's got more than one source, believe me.
Yeah, he lists at least two sources in the book. He's
seen all kinds of text messages and all kinds of stuff. I don't know necessarily that Turvey has seen all of that stuff that Whitcomb, he was focused more on the knife sheath and the actual crime scene itself. We don't know necessarily that Turvey saw all the text messages and every little thing that,
Here's another shocker that came out, in my opinion. Turvey said right before the plea deal, a massive dump of discovery was given to the defense, which has never been looked at to this day. No one's looked at a massive dump of data. And I don't understand how you don't demand to see all the evidence. Like they literally are playing the fuckery game of, yes, you have the discovery. We handed it to you 1 week before fucking trial. Like, come on. Like, nobody has time to do it. So they dumped a huge data dump. Turvey hasn't seen it. Neither apparently has Bryan Kohberger, and probably neither has Ann Taylor. And we're just supposed to all go, oh, I'm sure there was nothing important in that huge amount of data dump that was given to them and nobody's looked at yet. Julie Rose, he was spitting fire.
I think we all are.
No shit. Yeah.
Yep.
No shit.
Yeah. I like how. Yeah. Go ahead, Dago.
Sorry, I'm very curious, honestly, at this point. Really, very curious to know exactly what Bryan does know as far as what they have on is, what information Bryan knows, because we've all thought and said anything Ann has, Bryan would know. But at this point, I don't know that
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true at all.
So. No.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
Microdot says WSU is fighting this lawsuit. They aren't going to roll over on their parents. Too much is at stake for WSU. Yeah, the WSU lawsuit adds a very big wrinkle. WSU is financially in a position where they don't want to have to eat a $500 million lawsuit. And so they may be forced to prove that Bryan Kohberger didn't do it or didn't do it alone, so that they can be off the hook for why they didn't stop it. So it's an interesting thing. I do want to say this, by the way, too. He had some glowing and scathing things, Brent Turvey, to say about Ann Taylor. What he said was, she has, I forgot what the word he used, but she has an exquisite memory. She knows encyclopedic. Yes, encyclopedic memory. And he said, the Ann Taylor that I see up there scolding me and rebuking me and doing all these things is not the same Ann Taylor I know. She knows a lot more. And for her to do that, that's not the same Ann Taylor I know. I don't know who that is. That's what he was saying. This is not the woman I know. She has a great memory. She knows this case like the back of her hand. And the person who's standing up there now throwing in the towel on our client, letting him plead guilty, not testing exculpatory evidence at the last minute, I don't even know who that is anymore. That's not the same woman I know. It's big.
So that
Which is
begs
a
the
very
question.
powerful statement.
It is, because that begs the question: what happened? And he
Right.
narrowed it down to a weekend, you guys, with what he said. And I'm very curious: did something happen over that weekend? Was something said? Was something
Well,
done that promoted or provoked that everything to fall out? That's all I'm saying.
Well, there you go. It wasn't brought up in this interview, but what he has said previously on a different thing, he did say we spoke about it on here real briefly. I think a few days ago or a week ago, after he discovered that stuff with the knife sheath with the chain of custody.
Right.
Him and his team, whatever, he basically was working on, actually not working, they were filing to get the chain of custody of every single piece of evidence.
Right.
And that was earlier in the week. And then all of a sudden, that's a pretty big thing. Most of the evidence, Hitler, I don't think wouldn't have had a choice but to throw some of this stuff out.
I
agree on that, but I mean,
I loved, by the way, another thing that happened.
Something's crazy.
Yeah.
When they were asking him about how late he heard about the plea deal, he said a colleague called him and said, "So Bryan Kohberger's taking a plea deal," and his response to his colleague was, "There's no fucking way. No, he's not taking a plea deal." And then he found out it was true, and he was stunned because, again, nobody told him ahead of time. But his attitude was, "There is no fucking way Bryan Kohberger is taking a plea deal." And then he was stunned to find out that it was true. And how the hell did that happen? Because he knew nobody in their right mind would allow their client to take a plea with the evidence that they'd found in the last week before trial or before seating the jury.
And
it was insane.
And that's just what he found in that brief time.
And
imagine, he would have found probably a lot more.
He made another statement about how, you guys said it earlier on, how it seems to be that the way he made it sound was that nothing can happen for Bryan as long as Ann Taylor is on board.
He said that several times. Yeah.
I wonder if, that being said, now that that's been said, if there's anybody out there that has possibly could hear that or know that could try to reach out to Bryan and say, "Hey, I think you were shafted, this and that, and anything else," or even of him himself.
I want to explore that, Dago.
Or get to his family. Reach to his family.
I want to explore that, Dago, because I don't know the answer to that either. But my first thought was and I can't do it because we don't have a big enough audience. But could somebody who has a big enough audience start a GoFundMe thing, raise money for a real attorney for Bryan Kohberger, and let the family know we're going to raise you to get a real fucking defense attorney, have Ann Taylor fired, and somebody come in to represent Bryan Kohberger, because I'm telling you, he got shafted, and we'll raise a fucking $1 million, wherever the fuck it takes, to get a real attorney in there. And I think, but can they do that? Does Bryan Kohberger have to fire? Can he fire his own attorney? Does Ann Taylor have to be the one to step down? And if she doesn't step down, nobody can do anything. Like at what?
Well,
again, I think short for being arrested or something, what can happen to remove her?
I think he can fire her. That's his right at any time. But I still think that has to go through a court hearing and all that. The problem is, does Bryan? I mean, okay, let me put it this way. And again, I'm not throwing Ann under the bus as of yet. Okay, but I have a million questions. Like I said, does Bryan even realize how bad this is, or does he trust enough? You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. Does he trust enough in her that, from what she's told him, that he refuses to see it any other way? That's the problem.
Think about this, Dago. I don't know about prison life, but this is what I'm going to guess. Bryan Kohberger may have access in the prison to see mainstream media. Do you think he's going to hear in mainstream media that they have a ton of exculpatory information?
Absolutely
he would have to
not.
watch YouTube. Do you think he can watch YouTube? I don't know that prisoners get access to the internet.
No.
So mainstream media is never going to show Bryan Kohberger that there's a million fucking people out there who think he didn't do it, and there's exculpatory evidence just waiting for him to fucking say, "Hey, I got shafted." But he's never going to see it because all he's going to see is mainstream media coverage, which is the guy's fucking guilty all day long, every day, and twice on Sunday.
Well, he talks to people, right? Outside. He talks to his family. I mean, his family surely has people that they know that have at least paid attention somewhat to what's going on. I think I think he knows because of the reasons that I keep saying over and over and over again. There's too many things in this case that are incongruent and clearly manipulated for it to just be coincidental, in my opinion. I don't know. To me, it seems really clear, but it's impossible because the powers that be don't come out and go, all right, you got us.
Yeah, they'll give up. Yeah.
Here's something that he made clear, in my opinion. And again, I'm going to interpret what he said, but he made it clear, in my opinion. The hair, for example, in Ethan's hand that was discovered pretty late is potentially exculpatory information. Step one, it's potentially exculpatory information. Any attorney who does not dive into potentially exculpatory information on behalf of her attorney is ineffective assistance of counsel. If Ann Taylor was told this hair is not Bryan Kohberger's and suggests that somebody else was there, and she chooses to ignore it, that is the definition of ineffective assistance of counsel. It's her job to look into exculpatory or potentially exculpatory information. And that to me was clear to me that he believes Ann Taylor was told about potentially exculpatory information and chose not to do anything with it. And that is the definition of ineffective assistance of counsel.
Right. And the question is why?
Right.
Yeah. But at this point, Bryan has to see that to be able to say something about that, in my opinion.
Right. And this is a good point, that Turvey made about our justice system. The fact that it's not like over in England, it's a national law. We don't have that here, which makes our justice system so screwy, because Idaho can do things there that other places
what else did he
can't or won't.
What was the thing he mentioned? He brought up, what did he say?
Mississippi. He said, I won't even testify in Mississippi because they don't obey law.
Right.
And he was asked, by the way, hey, when you found out about this potentially exculpatory information about Ethan's hair stuck to the bed frame, still whatever, did you tell Ann Taylor? And he said, vehemently. I vehemently told her she needed to get it tested, and she ignored him, and he doesn't understand that.
I don't think any of us, none of us do. None of us do. I would really like to know what that means too.
Yeah.
I love how he indicated, didn't he say something like 25% of the time people plead guilty to something they didn't do? I thought it was something like some crazy number, but he also indicated a crazy thing. Poor people sometimes will take a plea for rich people to let rich people get away with things. Like a poor person will be paid money. Hey, we'll take care of your family. Just make sure, Mr. Rich and Powerful doesn't go to jail for something. So you say you did it. We'll pay you money. We'll take care of your family. And so they make an arrangement that way.
Yeah, it happens a lot in South America.
Right.
And the same kind of thing could have happened to his, and so follow the logic. Could that have happened in this case? Could somebody have said to Bryan Kohberger, let's say that his family doesn't have a lot of money. Could somebody have said, we'll take care of your family will live a good life. You just have to take the plea deal. And could that also be, if that happened, why the family wouldn't say anything? They'd be like, well, we got paid. Like, this is a deal that we made. Like, I don't want to say that that's the case. Like that, I don't want to give bad intentions, but the point being is that could somebody have said, hey, look, we're just going to have him plead guilty, but you guys will be taken care of. Don't worry about it.
I mean, if they, the only way I would believe that is if they said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the death penalty off the table, which means he'll live in prison for the rest of his life. You guys will be taken care of. This is what he wants. This is what Bryan wants. And that's the way this is going to go. And if not, he's going to get the death penalty and he's going to die, and you won't have him to have around for a relationship with him at all. Yeah, that I would believe that, Lee. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Besides
he did
that,
say that, right?
Besides that, I would never believe that his family would take money just to let that go. Because of the way I've seen them, I don't believe that. Other than that, so sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I think he pretty clearly stated that it wasn't Kohberger's hair, and it wasn't.
He did.
Anybody in the house.
He did clearly say that.
He said the hair was tested macroscopically. It was not tested for DNA. It was not tested or compared to anyone else in the house. He said it was sandy brown, reddish brown. BK does not have sandy brown
And they did, yeah, they
reddish
did
hair,
know
yeah.
it wasn't Kohberger's hair. They did know
Right.
it wasn't Kohberger's hair, but apparently didn't think it was worth finding out whose hair he does have in his bald.
No, why would you want to know that?
Right.
Well, again, that could be. He may not have known if it was tested or not, because if they're not giving him all the information, because they didn't give everything to Ann Taylor till the last minute, so it's possible that it was tested and it didn't fit with what their narrative was.
Well,
and they're not
that's not
going to
what
tell
he-
the
yeah.
public, oh, by
But
the
that's
way.
not what he said, though. But I'm just saying that's
No.
not what he said, though. He clearly said it was not tested for that. I'm not
Right.
saying he doesn't know, but he said it was not tested. But
There was
yeah,
some
I
more
know.
details.
I know he said
Yeah.
that, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
there's a chance that
right,
if all this other fuckery's going on, that
right,
they
right.
did test it and it didn't point to what they wanted to point to, so they just told people that it wasn't tested for DNA or whatever. I'm speculating, but with all the other shit
Yeah.
we've been lied to about in this case,
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that
Yeah.
he did make a very good point of saying in different ways that nothing whatsoever points to Bryan Kohberger at all. It points away from him absolutely.
No,
Yeah,
no
he said-
physical
he said-
evidence.
That is
He
a
said
big
there's
deal.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
He said there's
Nothing
not
ties
one
up-
piece of physical evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, and the opposite. Everything points away. Everything points
And-
away is what he said from Kohberger.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And nothing on that sheet. She asked him directly, "Is that DNA on that sheet Bryan's?" And he said, "As far as I know, no."
And it's funny because people don't like. I understand why he and Christopher Wickham said it, and people don't like it when they ask him, "Well, do you think Bryan Kohberger did it?" And he says he's guilty because he said he did, and people don't like that answer. But that's what else can he say? Legally, I have to say he's guilty because he said he's guilty. That is the legal fact. The legal fact is he pled guilty. Therefore, he is guilty of the crime. So when people keep, and then they'll try to counter. Well, then what do you believe? I don't talk about my beliefs. I talk about the facts. The fact is,
well, he's pretty much said that he believes that he's not guilty,
right.
but without saying he's not guilty. He
Right.
basically said everything but he's not guilty, but he pretty well laid out the case that
Right.
he's definitely
Right.
not guilty.
Yeah, by saying things like everything points away from Bryan Kohberger as the killer, that's like saying he's not guilty. But legally, he has to say he's guilty because that's what they said. And that's why Brian Enton get on there. Let's make everything clear. Bryan Kohberger is a murderer. He pled guilty. He is a murderer. Like he can say that because
And they
legally,
asked-
that's
it
what they
was-
establish in court.
It was good. They asked him about the car, and I loved how
Yeah.
he kind of poked at Sutton a little bit, and he kind of said like
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
they
disappointed
tore
because
the car
Sutton is
down to the bare
Sutton
frame.
is
Nothing.
and Sutton is kind of well known. She's pretty well known in the forensic world too, and he's kind of disappointed, I think. in
Yeah.
how-
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was clear to me as well as a talking point. The chain of custody has more issues than even was brought up in the book, because as you
Yeah.
pointed out, that the chain of custody doesn't even list all the people who did handle it. And it's got missing gaps of time. So on top of the fact that it's a fabricated chain of custody with one person writing all the names, with that itself makes that really a big problem. But it doesn't even list all the people who did handle it. And it doesn't list periods of time that it was in other people's possession. The whole fucking chain of custody is garbage. And he thinks
Yes.
it's a big deal, but they're acting like that's not a big deal. It would have been admitted in court anyways. Trust us, bro. So
Yeah, but their plan obviously was to never get to court. So
they were never going to go to trial. Right. That's why they never had
Yeah.
to worry about proving the DNA was his, because they
Sure.
were never going to go to trial. They knew they were never going to show that in
Right.
trial.
right.
I said that for a long time. They never intended to show the DNA. They even told you ahead of time
Yeah.
they weren't planning on showing the DNA. We've got enough circumstantial evidence. We don't need to show the DNA. Yet America thinks he was convicted because of DNA.
Yeah.
They were never going to show it. And Payne said, I don't think anybody ever said the DNA on the knife sheath of Bryan Kohberger's. It's amazing that the public still believes Bryan Kohberger's DNA was at the crime
Yes.
scene. And they
Yep.
literally, even when the officials in the case tell you, we never said Bryan Kohberger's DNA was on the knife sheath. And you're still like, yeah, I was on the knife sheath.
Oh yeah.
Right, well, we-
Look, it's gonna get worse. Just wait till the Lifetime movie comes out and
Oh,
shows
God.
him some crazy incel stalker. I'm sure that's what it's gonna be.
Oh, that's how
And
they're
what-
gonna run the narrative right back to where they want it to be by doing that
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
This is what also bothers me, guys. Do you guys know about this? This also bothers me. We know about Dr. Turvey's report because of Sutton's rebuttal to Turvey's report, which he pointed out her rebuttal didn't ever say any part of him being wrong. Sutton never says that Turvey's wrong about his report. But the only parts that we know about, I think, publicly about Dr. Turvey's report are what is in the rebuttal by Sutton. But here's the part that bothered me. Fox News had the full Dr. Turvey's report, and People magazine apparently had the full Turvey report.
Yeah.
But all they've ever shown the public is their write-up about it. Why the fuck if these news agencies have the full Dr. Turvey report, don't they turn it over to the public? Why do they have to write an article or a news story about it and tell us what it says instead of just, if you've got it, if you obtained it legally, then turn it over to the public and let us see it? Why are you having to write an article to tell us what it says instead of just letting let us see it? That bothers me so effing much.
Yep.
Can anyone please, or everyone please apologize to DA for all of the grief he took over Christopher Whitcomb? I knew Chris was a badass, and now we all know Dr. Turvey is too. Thanks, DA. Appreciate that. Thank you very much, and thank you for the support on the gift. That was very kind. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was telling you guys. The last few days we were hyping him up. Turvey is the real deal. Like he's a crime scene staging specialist, observing, acknowledge, being able to recognize crime scene staging. If you like what I mentioned in my intro, and if you watch some of his other videos, he actually says when he starts doing a forensic analysis of a scene, he tries to rule out crime scene stage. It happens so much in so many cases, whether it's from police or the prosecutor or a possible perpetrator or whatever trying to hide something. It happens in so many cases that
what I'm interested to see next is the fallout from this. Honest to God.
Yes. Yep.
From multiple different sources.
Right. And the question is how much play will this get? Because we're just YouTubers. So will it get attention or not? Because it's just YouTubers.
It's not going to get media attention because it doesn't follow their narrative. That's not going to happen. It's just going to be this way. But Olivia, the Gonsalves are probably going to react to this.
Yes.
I'm curious to see if Anne reacts to this. Yes. And maybe somebody will pick it up in the media. I would hope to see that.
Maybe the Statesman.
That would be there you go. Kevin Fixler will probably grab a hold of it. That's
true. Yeah.
I don't know I don't know. I don't think I trust Kevin Fixler, but yeah.
Well, he's been pointing the other stuff
out there.
Yeah, it's out there that people see it. That's that,
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I want to say another. Oh, sorry.
Ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say another statement that, because I know even my own panel have different opinions on this. And so I want to know, you don't have to admit if you want to or not, but he did make the statement unequivocally, Ethan was drunk and sleeping in his bed when he was attacked. Because a lot of people are talking about Ethan was attacked earlier in the night, maybe outside, brought into the house, maybe it happened in the main living room. Now, Dr. Turvey's opinion was Ethan was drunk and sleeping in the bed and was, turtled up and defending himself, and that Xana basically got attacked. She was outside the bed and put up a ferocious fight. He was very emotional with that. He was very emotional about that. Poor girl put up a hell of a fucking fight. But what do you guys think? What does it solidify for you, or is it just his opinion that Ethan was?
He is the forensic expert. So I mean, a lot of stuff to me makes me, I really thought Ethan was attacked first. There's a lot of different scenarios with that, but. I'm not a forensic expert. I don't see him having reason to lie or make up. So, I mean, if that's what his conclusion is,
I am confused.
He explained it.
Right. I mean, that was his opinion, and I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I'm willing to change. Sure. I can change my opinion.
Another weird thing he said. I want to get your thoughts on this. Another weird thing he said. At some point, he on his own hinted about the attack happening in the dark. And then someone, I think one of the queens said, well, was it in the dark or were the lights on? Because we hear different things. To which he followed up, well, you can't trust anybody in that neighborhood. You can't trust the eyewitnesses in the house, Dylan and Bethany. You can't trust people who were outside, who saw the house from the outside. So you can't trust anybody. So I'm just going to leave it at that. So I wonder, when he says the lights were off, does he know the lights are off, but then backpedaled when we say, how do you know the lights are off? I can't talk about that. And you can't trust the eyewitnesses who say the lights were on. Because it was weird. He made it sound like he knew the lights were off.
Right. But then I have a question with that, because Christopher Whitcomb said that there were lights that didn't have a
The whole-
switch that you just
yeah.
plugged it in.
Like a motion
Yeah,
detector
the
kind of
good
thing?
vibe
He said
sign
that the
or
light.
whatever.
He said that the lights were on.
I
If
thought he
it-
said
He
the
said
whole
all
house.
the lights were
all
He
the
on.
said
lights
that,
were
he
on,
said
yeah.
the house was it was lit like a Christmas tree.
Right.
So did I hear Turvey wrong? Did he say it was in the dark? Because I thought he said it was in
No,
the
He
dark.
he
did.
said it was in the dark. He said that
he
happened.
did.
The house was dark.
So there's a conflict
So-
there between Wickham
Yeah, there is a
and
conflict.
Turvey. Between both of them, there's a conflict, right?
I say it's just like with parents. You get the two of them together and you sit down. You
Make him talk it out. Okay, you
Make
two.
'em talk it
Your
out.
stories don't match. Which one of you was right?
Well, and that's the thing is Chris had other sources besides Turvey too. So you have to
Right.
understand that. So and it makes sense.
Yes.
They're gonna have they're gonna disagree on some things, I believe.
And
Right.
there's so many,
Yeah.
and there's so many so many little things, nuances too.
Yes.
So that's
yes.
why I get what Turvey was saying too. He's like, oh, some of you are asking about the pong table and this and that.
Right,
And he's
right.
he focused on the knife sheath, the
big
cleanup,
issues.
the 911 call. He's focused on those things. So
I thought that was interesting that he called out the 911 call. Speaking of, that was
I was
not-
happy he did. Yeah,
I am
Yeah,
too, but it's
absolutely.
not something I thought he would go at.
right.
The book really didn't deal with the 911 call. I mean, very,
No.
very, very lightly did it talk about the 911 call. But he had a problem with all of the survivors' statements. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean the 911 call, the more you look at it, the more obvious that how
So, yeah.
little sense it makes. Oh,
Right.
our friends passed out. Like if
Yeah,
you
it's full
saw
of
lies.
them and heard someone scream and you saw Xana, that's not the impression that any normal person who's being honest would say. Oh, we think our friends passed out. It doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense.
No,
you wouldn't
it's
walk
not a-
up there and check on
No.
them. It's
But not even
it's-
that. It's not even about going up and checking on them. Dago could have. We've spoken about this a few times. It's that the reaction and what they would be saying over the phone, a normal
Yes.
response would be like, "Oh my God, my friend's not waking up. There's so much blood." They would be just
Exactly.
kind of describing. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I see a knife in his chest. Or I see that. Like they'd be going frantic and kind of
And none of that
describing the
happened.
scene. You don't see
Yeah.
it. Yeah, like so. What you're saying exactly? You wouldn't say, "Oh, my friend is passed out." Like it's so fake.
And there's no way, and I'll say this till I'm done with this case, folks. There's no way that none of them saw the blood. No
Right.
fucking way
There's no-
on the
yeah.
planet
Nope.
that they
And he
didn't see any
basically said
blood.
that as well. He basically said,
Right.
"There's no way
Yeah.
you see, there's no way you see Xan on the floor and not see the other dead person in the bed. There's no
No.
way you see the things that you saw." Now, granted, Chris would say, "Well, Ethan was covered up by a blanket, maybe so that somebody wouldn't see that there was another person dead in the bedroom." But I don't
Yeah,
know that I
okay.
bought
Yeah,
the
but
blood
even
Even if
everywhere.
you want,
is
seeing
probably-
Xana.
Yeah.
Lee,
Yeah.
even if you want to
And-
go by that, say he's covered. There was so much blood in that room,
Right.
all
Yeah.
over the place.
Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, when he was saying that about Xana, I just teared right the hell
Yeah.
up because
Oh, I know.
that poor girl. And that's one of the things that makes me so angry about this is that these kids died. Okay, nothing they did warranted anything like that happening to them. Nothing. I don't
Yeah.
care what they were doing in their personal lives. And for these organizations or whoever's involved in this thing or whatever, let it be your kid. Okay? Let it be your kid and see how you feel then. It's fucking
Yeah.
bullshit, all of it.
Yeah. No, it
Sorry.
was extremely
Yep.
emotional to hear how much she fought, and it was difficult for him to talk about. It was difficult for the queens to because
It is
she
for
fought,
all of us.
She fought fucking for her
Yeah.
life. She fought and she fought like stronger than a lot of people would. Some people will just turtle up and take it. Other people fucking fight like she was fighting her ass off.
And that's
And
why
it's horrible.
that's why I said whoever did this, I said this last week. I said Xana, my God, Xana, somebody got the fuck beat out of him. Period. So like whoever did
Yeah.
this, and thank God and God bless Xana for fighting her ass off
Yeah.
to the end, in my opinion. And whoever that person is, they got fucked up. Period. I'll just say that.
Yep.
And I would have loved to have seen anybody that either ended up in
Oh,
the
yeah.
hospital or had disappeared for a good month or so after the fact to
Yes,
try to heal
yes.
from it, because there's no way she didn't. No way.
Kenny,
she
Yeah.
didn't.
Canny Mag says, did Turvey break his non-disclosure agreement? I
Mm,
believe
I don't
not. Brent
He's
Turvey
not
said,
dumb enough
never in
to.
my career have I ever violated a non-disclosure agreement. Everything I've said is out there in the public.
Right.
And when asked about things that he had that isn't in the public, he stopped and said, I'm not going to talk about that until it becomes made public. And by the way, did you see he hinted there will be more things being made public? I mean, he kind of hinted, let's wait until that
Yeah.
comes out in the public and then I'll talk about it.
And you heard what he said. There are other people standing with him. I almost think he's like referencing like Cy Ray or whoever else.
Oh yeah,
They
I
made
agree.
the same. I'm sorry, Robin. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I agree. No,
They
go
made
ahead.
they made the same. Think about it, folks. Him and Turvey and Cy Ray made almost the same damn comment referring to this case. They both said, in 30 years, I have never seen. They went a little different on the rest of the comment, but Cy's was in regards to what he deals with, and Turvey's was in regards to his. Period. So they're both saying the same damn thing. I've never seen so much
Never
fuckery
seen
in my
anything
life.
like this. Yeah.
Right.
The one thing though I have to question is this timeline thing, because based on what Turvey has clearly stated, that there were more than one perpetrators involved.
Right.
There was, he said at least two, I think, or that was what he
at least two. At least
he
two.
said at least two. Yeah.
The noise at the hour that the official narrative states does not align with the level of violence and the amount of activity in that house at that time. It just doesn't.
Right. I know.
I agree.
I agree.
It doesn't. I know.
And I don't know what to make of that other than from his perspective, it doesn't matter necessarily for his perspective. For some reason, it doesn't matter when it happened, even though for the rest of us, it matters because again, if Bryan Kohberger, if it happened at 2:30 in the morning, then Bryan Kohberger couldn't have been there. But I'm going to try to say it as bluntly as I can. Turvey doesn't give a fuck whether Bryan Kohberger gets exculpated or not. That's not his point. His point is just to give an analysis of the crime scene. This was done by more than one person, and it took X number of time to do it, and there was a cover up. That's all. He's not giving a shit about what the outcome is. Let the cards fall where they may. I'm just giving you my professional opinion.
And I don't even think it might be 2:30. I think it may even be before that. If you listen to the Linda Lane video at 1:15 or 1:16. There's something crazy going on there as well. I mean,
I said yesterday.
There's some kind of there's definitely some kind of fight. Does it involve Ethan? I don't know, but just taking what Wickham said, he did say there were 3. He knows of 3 fights. He didn't say who was in it.
In that video, Jules did a thing, and then I did something on it too, and we talked about it. There's a video at Linda Lane. I think it's 12 something, okay, and that vehicle pulls up, and what looks to be, I can swear to God it is, looks like Ethan walking with Pete up to that apartment. Another kid walks in there and he yells something or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's like 12:30. It's like 12:30.
That one there. So I wonder if that is them.
It's definitely Ethan. I mean,
it looks just like him. Yeah, the walk, the gait, everything. Thank you, 100%. The mustache, all of that looks like Ethan. So. Did it start there? Did something start there at that apartment when they were there? And did it follow them back to the house? And I've said this before too. Or did somebody show up after the fact, after they left there possibly, and back at the 1122 house? I swear to you guys, that's something stuck in my head now after watching that video again. I really do believe that that's a grand possibility.
Right.
It is definitely Ethan to me too.
So when I hear Turvey say, and I listen, he's the forensic expert. When he says like Ethan died or in the bed or whatever in his bedroom, that's probably where Ethan died. But that doesn't mean that's where it started. I know he said he was drunk. That doesn't mean that nothing. Right. That doesn't mean nothing happened anywhere else.
Right. He could have went to that apartment. Something could have went down. They left the apartment, went back to the house. He goes to bed. These people show up an hour later, okay, or 45 minutes later, and kick the door, or come through the door, go in and do what they're doing. I mean, honest to God, it's very plausible, folks. Very plausible. And I've been thinking that since I saw that video again.
Quickly, G.I. Jane says, quickly rewatch. To the person who stated he said Xana was on camera in the kitchen. I don't remember him saying Xana was on camera. I don't remember that at all. That's not what he said. timestamp
didn't say-
139 through
yeah.
148. Ethan was asleep and Xana was in the kitchen eating on TikTok. Yeah, I don't remember.
No.
Certainly,
Yeah, he
so I don't
didn't-
know who
yeah,
said
he-
it. I don't know who said that she was on camera. I think what
Unless-
the question was asked is they were asking about the Dateline NBC episode that said that Xana was in the kitchen when the killer came in. You know,
Yeah, but I do have a question about that. How do they know she was in the kitchen? Is that on her phone? Because if she had, you know, the fitness apps and stuff like that record, and just your phone in general, so that's where the phone information is extremely.
The only thing
the
thing I
was-
can get, the thing I can get from Turvey, I think he's basing what from remembering from the report that the little of that we were able to see. I think from the blood spatter and whatnot, he knows that she ran towards the bedroom.
Right.
But he did roll his eyes when somebody said that Xana's blood was on the ping pong table. He kind of rolled his eyes about that. Did you
He
see
definitely
that?
does not like that beer pong table at all.
Yeah,
thinks
he
that's
doesn't
bullshit.
have any faith in that.
Yeah, he didn't seem to care. He didn't seem to care about the table, but.
And I think some people are
I don't
getting
know.
that whole Xana in the kitchen thing from that Asgat Industries bullshit that was put out. That's another problem too, because that's absolute bullshit. And I don't mind saying it. It's bullshit. You have no idea. No idea.
No.
Robin, you went off about this the other day too.
Yeah.
You have no idea
I
who
agree.
was doing what. You weren't there. You can't say, oh, she walked in the kitchen and was surprised to see the back door open. Shut up and sit down. You have no clue what you're saying because you were not there. I'm sorry. That irritates the shit out of me. And she's done it multiple times now. And I think it confuses people because they believe that it's a fact by the way it's put out there. That can't be done. Sorry.
Just because you're good with graphics and you put some stuff together, that doesn't mean that you know, or that you can put words on a page.
Right.
It doesn't mean you know what people are thinking. It doesn't mean that you know what they said during a private conversation. Oh, say when people are driving across the country and there's only 2 fucking people in the car. Okay, Mr. Howard Bloom, looking at you. Okay.
100%. 100%. I agree with that.
But I know he doesn't care, but the ping pong table is still an issue to me because of Kaylee's blood. Kaylee's blood by herself with no contamination is an issue for me. Because,
here's another thing I thought was,
here's
another thing I thought was interesting. Talking about the Dateline NBC leak, this was kind of towards the end kind of thing, but he made the comment. Someone wanted this trial tried in the press. They wanted this trial tried in the press, and and he specifically said the leak was designed to poison the jury pool. That's what he said.
Right.
It worked.
The leak and the Dateline thing, right? It was designed to poison the jury pool because someone wanted this case tried in the court of public opinion and to jeopardize the trial. And then Ann Taylor's now being questioned and whether she could be in an investigation. So it begins to wonder. A lot of people have said they never wanted this to go to trial. Did someone make sure that they would poison the jury pool so that there was no way to get a fair trial, and knowing that it would lead to a plea deal because they never wanted it to go to trial?
That's what I've been saying. This was never going to go to trial, and Bryan was always going to be guilty no matter what happened, period. And that's where we're at with it. That's what happened, truly.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy. Good to see you.
I love how no offense to 1-1, but I thought it was funny when Turvey says, "Yeah, I don't talk to law enforcement. I don't trust them."
I told you that. I told you that. Every video, every single like special or whatever video I have watched, there's a big part of it where he spends like half the video
pretty
kind of bashing law enforcement.
He talks to Joe Giacalone. He goes on Joe Giacalone's show. He's former.
And Joe Giacalone, I don't think was terribly happy with the way he called out. Like, let's be fair. These guys that run this don't have the brightest educations.
I know.
Well, I mean, considering what he does, and he's able to call out when crime scenes are staged, that'll tell you why he doesn't talk to law enforcement.
He's seen
it happen.
Yeah.
I love that he's not media trained and he just says whatever the hell he wants.
He says some blunt shit. I'll tell you.
Oh
that.
yeah.
And he'll insult people that are interviewing him. Like he has no problems insulting you too. Like he just says it like he's
like he told the custody queens and Ron, "You guys just want me to give you something that you can go masturbate to."
Yeah.
I love that.
I was like, don't.
That's not my idea of an aphrodisiac, but hey.
I mean, it's just he said things, he alluded to things like that, but when he said that to them,
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious.
I have a.
I kind of dig the guy. You have to have a thick skin. Yeah, I kind of dig the guy.
Yes.
Can I
Yeah.
speak to
Oh,
a
yeah.
statement that was made?
Yeah.
So somebody named Ace of Spades, I think, says, Dago, why do you keep flip flopping? Serious question. How am I flip flopping? I'm pointing out the things that I'm seeing. That's why I said I'm not at this point ready to throw Ann Taylor under the bus. I'm not, because I don't know what the hell I'm seeing yet. I don't know what decision to make yet. I'm looking at both sides of everything that I'm seeing to try to come to a regular conclusion. And we can't do that yet because we don't have all the information yet. So
Right.
I'm not flip flopping anywhere. I'm still on the point where I'm at.
And I have the
people
same.
are
I have
allowed
the
to
same.
change their minds.
Right. I was gonna say I have the same problem because
Yeah.
I'm willing to always revise. I am always willing to revise my opinions if new evidence comes forward. If you aren't willing to re-examine your position when new evidence, then you're closed-minded. So sometimes when you do that, when somebody says, and I was giving an example of this the other day, like if I have 5 pieces of information and I'm like, those aren't really convincing, but you come forward with the 6th piece of information, I'm like, well, now that's 6. Like I was willing to accept 5, but 6 is going to be harder. I'm constantly having to revise what weight I give to things, and I think that's just being intellectually honest. So I don't know. That's not called flip-flopping. It's called being intellectually honest, in my opinion.
And you gotta,
I fully agree.
Yeah, you got to be willing to, to listen and adapt what you believe.
I guess I'm intellectually dishonest because my opinion hasn't changed.
Well, I mean, it's fair.
Yeah,
You're allowed to.
No, because you've always said if something does come to light to change your opinion, so it just hasn't happened yet. That's all.
No, I will. Believe me. If
I know,
something
but
changes,
I'm saying so.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's totally fair. And I've had people who are insisting, nobody died in the house because you didn't see any body bags, and then later on, body bags get shown, and they're like, yeah, there's body bags, but you can't prove there's bodies in it. Okay, then you're like, well, you can hear them dragging a heavy body to the bag. Okay, yeah, but you can't tell. Like, of course they would fake bodies if they're going to fake it. Like, some people just can't be convinced no matter what the evidence is. Like, so I feel like we're not that. Like, we're willing to re-examine things and re-talk about it and say, well, how does this change our opinions? So.
There's one thing that I'm pretty sure we've at least discussed at some point. We know that area was just full of CIs, right? I mean, it just seems like that was like
it seems
really
like
common.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's highly probable that whoever committed the crime were involved with that CI program as well. And they don't want that to get out also, on top of what we believe about it, who, potentially in the house could have been a CI. So if somebody in the area that had been a CI because they got busted for some shit or whatever, and they were somehow involved in that, they definitely wouldn't want that to get out either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
See,
point.
I don't really go by this, though. Turvey brushing off the earlier screams, basically saying the timers is important, lends credence to JG's general take. It does mean something, but I think Turvey's main point is he was focused on, like we said, the knife sheath, the certain things in the crime scene. I don't think he was really, possible fights and other stuff. I don't think he was really involved in much of any of that. So,
but I know thank you for supporting my theory, though. I appreciate it.
Yeah. One thing, though, I know that Dago and I know a few people were covering. What's his name? Caden
Young.
Caden Young. So I know in one of those interviews, they said that because we've talked about this numerous times, that there's like a small, I don't know, apartment or house that's like right near 1122. It's like a smaller area.
Yeah.
Because they were saying, he made reference that there were drugs there.
Yeah. Right.
Several houses in that area, I think, were known drug houses.
But I think even you talked about it too, Lee. Like, it's like that smaller. There's like a smaller house that's like right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
When Dave, sorry, Lee, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say 1118. I think was the one that's next.
I think
to
that's it.
1112.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Dave came out and did his interview years ago, he said that there were 2 houses in that neighborhood that were very well-known drug houses, and one was 1122, and one was, I think it was 1118. Like
1118. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
I think
1118
so.
and 1122. Yeah, I think those are the 2 big ones. Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it seems like it's kind of funny that people would even try to argue that there were drugs going on in that area. You know, it's like there's
Right.
nothing shocking about that in any way,
Right,
shape, or
right.
form. I mean, and it ties in with everything that we've heard with the interviews
Right.
after the
Right.
fact. It's like that came up in almost every interview. They
Yeah.
they didn't just pull that out of thin air.
Yeah.
That's a
Yep.
good point.
All right. Let's kind of start to wrap things up a little bit. Do you guys have other comments in your notes that we haven't got to that were talking points you want to talk about?
He just he made reference that this was a death penalty case. You know, there should have been. There was no.
He also said
the rug.
he
He
has
said the
more
rug
death
was
penalty
pulled
case
out.
experience than Ann.
Yes, and he said
Yeah.
like they're supposed to have kind of a close huddle. The rug was pulled out. No explanation. Yeah. I mean,
I think the criminal investigation thing is a really big deal.
He made it
Yeah.
pretty clear it's a big deal. He made it
It
pretty clear.
is. It is.
Yep.
And I was kind of shocked to know that they had wrapped up and sealed off the administrative investigation already, and now they're
was too.
involved in it. Yeah, that was shocking. And then I guess the things we've heard recently are pointing to this criminal. So a criminal investigation, folks, involving attorneys and defense. I mean, that's big time in my opinion.
yeah.
And he said at
Yep.
the end, at the very end, he said it depends on who gets arrested.
Who gets arrested? Yeah.
Oh,
so it
this
sounds
is
boy.
what.
yeah.
And
The
this is what
administrative
pisses-
review is
yeah.
what happened,
Go
and
ahead,
now
Lee.
the criminal thing is: do we have enough evidence to arrest somebody? And if
Right.
somebody gets arrested, that's going to make a big deal.
And it's kind of bothersome
Yeah.
knowing that they're investigating Ann Taylor and the defense team and her talk. I'm like, oh shit, that's a big deal.
And this is what pisses me off is Brian Etton's last little video that he did
Oh, he's
there,
an idiot.
where he makes he's interviewing someone, the guy from that local area there, and he basically makes it sound like it's not a big deal that there was a leak. It's like, and the other guy tells him, well, it would have been argued that Bryan didn't get a fair trial. Like the jury would have been corrupted there.
Right.
And he's like,
Right.
he's basically his answer. He basically says, "Oh, but like this happens all the time, like in all cases." Like you're such a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that was a dumb statement, truly and honestly.
Other comments you guys have that we didn't address from tonight's bombshell? That was a bombshell interview. What a great interview.
That was an
I hope
incredible
it gets
interview.
some play. Yeah.
It was definitely well worth waiting for.
He doubled down and said he has zero faith in Ann Taylor. So he made that clear.
Yeah.
He definitely called her out. That's why I'm saying I'm curious to see.
Yeah.
I mean, he made his statements before she came out and called him out. Good God, I'm curious to see what kind of a fallout she may have with this now.
I mean, he validated what I felt for a long time and have voiced many times. I don't think Ann Taylor was really working hard on Bryan's behalf like many people had believed previously. I was just like, I don't think she seems like she's not pushing that hard at all with all this fuckery that's going on.
And then you saw he did a pretty good job explaining, because I know people always want to, you can't go by just what you see on TV. He did a pretty good explanation explaining what you're supposed to do with evidence. And really, when you take a piece of evidence, if it's moved, it should be able to be put back, he said, within an inch pretty much. Where it was found. With a time, a date, a time and date.
You absolutely need a photo before you touch anything.
Obviously, you take a picture before you move it. You use a ruler. Get the try to get all the measurements. And if you had to move it, you move it. And he makes reference to all kinds of different pieces of evidence. He specifically talked about the piece of jewelry, I guess, that was found in the spare bedroom.
The bracelet,
right, the bracelet that was
Yeah.
moved, that you can see in different pictures and in different spots. Like, what the hell? What the hell is that?
Yeah. Oh well, guys, this has been an emotional day. I think there's a lot to unpack. I really encourage you to go back and watch that interview with Dr. Turvey and the custody queens again. Take your own notes. I think we're going to be talking about it. I think Robin said we'll probably be talking about that interview for weeks or months coming up, because there was so much in it.
Yeah.
And I think he hinted the criminal investigation is undergoing, and that's a big deal. I think somebody could end up getting arrested pretty soon. That's a big deal. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think other whistleblowers are coming forward. That's a big deal.
Yes.
I think a lot is going to happen. And as he hinted, I can't say anything about it now. Let's wait until some more stuff comes out. So wow, this is one of the craziest. I think, like JJ said, I don't think I've ever seen a case anything like this ever in my life. This is the craziest fucking case I've ever seen.
I definitely haven't.
I was told by one of my lead moderators who passed away, Wisdom Speaks, 3 years ago. She said, word for word, Dago, this is not like any case you have ever seen nor will ever see again. I'm just telling you, it's not what you think, and I'll be damned if she was not on point with this, Wisdom. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
She was absolutely right.
Maybe Peter Jackson can get involved.
All right, guys, I don't want to do a long close tonight. I've got that song that a lot of people haven't seen. It's a very emotional song about wrongful convictions. I'd like to play us out with that tonight for a parting thought, because I think it fits very, very well with what may be happening here. A wrongful conviction, a prosecution that doesn't want to have the truth get out there, gag orders that continue to try to seal what really happened, the defense attorney for her own client throwing her own experts under the bus, trying to get them to fucking commit perjury or something and say shit that they're not supposed to say. What the fuck is happening to make somebody go down for something that perhaps they weren't even there for? It's a crazy, crazy thought. So I'm going to play us out before we lose the whole audience, because not everybody stays for closing. Thank you, panelists, for coming in and sharing your thoughts tonight. It was an amazing interview.
Thanks for having us.
To talk about it throughout the week. And everybody have a great night. I hope you enjoy this very emotional song. Listen, watch the lyrics.
Have a great night.
Watch the public service announcement.
And then shout out to Robin again.
Robin, great sizzle reel.
Amazing.
We'll play that several times.
Thank you.
All right,
job.
good evening, everybody.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody. Good night.
There's a boy behind the glass tonight, counting cracks beneath the neon light. They called it justice on the evening news, another headline people choose. And I stood outside those courtroom doors with trembling hands in case fire wars. But truth don't shine like gasoline, it burns too slow for TV screens. So they trade a soul for certainty, wrap their fear in sympathy, and every doubt gets crucified before it's even heard alive. Why does no one care when the innocent disappear into cages built from rumors and the comfort of our fear? Why does no one care when the truth is standing there, crying through the silence, but nobody wants to hear? And the devil's advocates still scream into the air. Why does no one care? There's a mother clutching faded notes, every word her son once wrote. She swears his eyes were never cold, but mercy's hard when anger's sold. The papers print the easy side, the crowd decides before the trial, and anyone who questions it gets buried underneath the pile, 'cause doubt is dangerous these days, and nuance never trends. So they sharpen all their outrage till compassion finally ends. Why does no one care when the innocent disappear into stories built for ratings and convictions built on fear? Why does no one care when the cracks are everywhere, and the ones who ask for answers are the villains of the year? But the devil's advocates still stand when no one dares. Why does no one care? I'm so tired of screaming into storms, watching hearts grow comfortably numb. How many lives must break apart before we question what we've done? And if the truth is inconvenient, does that make it any less real? Or are we just addicted to the safety of the seal? Why does no one care when a human life's unfairly torn? When the system feeds on silence and calls indifference being strong? Why does no one care? Why is it easier not to see that justice without questions isn't justice? It's machinery. Still the devil's advocates refuse to look away, even when the whole world says just let it fade. But I still care. God,